Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Tonight, I just wanted to do a quick video showing off my first progressive web app. So let's jump right in. So this is the app I kind of iterated and improved on. Simple app, just a recipe app pretty much, and might expand it in the future to have some social media kind of features or something, but very simple app at face value. A little description about what it's about. Down here is the top chefs. Yeah, pretty normal. A little tab to see the recipes. A bunch of different recipes here. You can view the recipes as you wish, and yeah, take a look. Wasn't super focused on building all the functionality into the app right now. I just wanted to kind of get it up and running and build it as a progressive web app. So to show that off, just go into the inspect tool here to application, and you'll see here, this is the service worker. So the two main components of a progressive web app are the manifest file and the service worker. As you can see here, the status of the service worker is that it's running. And yeah, just shows a couple messages here to just kind of show you that it's up and running. And if I click over to here, this is the manifest file. Shows the name here, shows the short name that I added, and some of the theme color presets that I had. And then down here, it's actually displaying all of the different sized icon images that I created. And it's actually really fun. I created this icon with artificial intelligence. So I used a program called Mind Valley to actually generate this icon image of kind of a little bowl of food on the table. So yeah, just something fun to do. Yeah, so this is the manifest file showing all the different sized icons for whatever device it might be installed on. And then the last thing I'll show here is actually the Lighthouse, Google's Lighthouse. So this essentially is Google software that allows you to, with the click of a button, analyze load performance, SEO optimization, and actually PWA readiness. So once this test is done loading, there we go, click on the PWA here. Look at that, it's got the green check mark for installable. So that means that this application is ready to be installed as a PWA. Web app manifest and service worker meet the instability requirements. So basically just means they're stable enough to download. And there's a service worker that registers and has a start URL. Configure custom splash screen, theme color. One thing that I didn't actually end up finishing was we're just kind of setting the resizing from 416 to 360. It's super small. I mean, it'll still work, but it just might not be perfect for all mobile devices. Yeah, and Manifest has maskable icons. So that was something else I forgot to add at first. And then I did some more research, and it turns out that for Android devices, you need to have one of your icons specified with the maskable kind of tag to it, or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the app. It's ready to be a PWA, so this app could be downloaded by somebody and used offline on their phone, which is very cool. Guess I'll just hop over the code real quick. Let's go through the manifest file. So here, this is where you see I specified the short name, long name, and then I have all the different images of different sizes specified here, all the different icons. And then just a couple other preferences here. Theme colors is kind of like an orangey color. And yeah, that's all the manifest file is. It's super simple, just JSON file, which is really nice, really easy to make, customize. There's other fields you can add as you wish, but this is all I needed for my demonstration. And then just hop over the service worker real quick. So here it specifies the URLs that I want the service worker to cache. So this is basically where I want people to be able to navigate on the site while it's offline. So what data will actually be cached. So if there's other URLs that I wanted to add here, I could just add them right up here, and the user would be able to access other files offline as well. This is the kind of first event listener, which is when the install is pushed. So it basically just caches everything and adds it at the time that the install would be clicked. Yeah, and then I guess the only other thing to kind of talk about is this self-skip waiting. The self-skip waiting is basically a preference you set here that will force the service worker to reinstall itself or install a new version of itself on update. Because when I was kind of like researching service workers, it turns out that there actually can be quite a large problem with them. Another one of my another program content creator, a guy by the name of Ben Awad, made a really great video. I'll link it down below. And he was just kind of talking about why he removed a service worker from his application. And what he was saying is that his app was, when he like first made the app, he used create React app, which is kind of like the, I guess, phrase that we use when we were creating React apps with NPM or whatever. And that actually adds a service worker by default. So he had a service worker running and it was all great. And then he started noticing that a bunch of his users were on old versions of the website. So what was happening is that the service worker was kind of downloading and caching everything great and everybody's accessing it, but it wasn't updating properly. So what was actually happening was his app, he would add an update to his app in the back end, and then that data would get pulled, but it would sit like next to the service worker and wouldn't actually be like integrated into their site till they reloaded the page. And I don't know about you, but I've met some people that keep a lot of internet tabs open for a very long time and sometimes don't even shut off their computer at all. So this would be a huge problem for those kind of people because, the update would just kind of be sitting there next to the service worker and not actually going into the service worker and updating their website. So Ben did a bunch of different stuff to try to kind of troubleshoot this service worker problem and kind of learned about this skip waiting thing he was talking about. It worked pretty well, but then it refreshed too often. And so, I think the big thing to take away from service workers is that you need to really understand them to build good service workers, because when you decide to update the cache and download the cache and modify it and stuff, it's all kind of got to depend on the site that you have or the users that you have, that kind of stuff. And I guess another solution that Ben came up with was he would just put a refresh button on the screen when there was a new update. But then that led to the problem of every time the user came to the website, they had to manually refresh it to reinstall the cache and update the cache on the service worker. And so that became pretty annoying for users, just having to refresh every time they went to his website. So in the end, he actually decided to totally remove the service worker, which was fine for his use case because everybody was just using his application as a web browser. But in the case of a progressive web app, you can't really do that. So yeah, and I guess the other big risk with service workers is that if you ship a bad service worker, it's extremely difficult to get that off of the end user's application, essentially. Because if they download a service worker that's going to stop them from downloading future ones or something, and you ship, you put into production a bad service worker, it can be a huge problem. And there's been some big companies that have had really big problems with that. And the only way to really fix it is actually for the users to go in and manually clear their cache, which, is something that as a techier person, it's not that difficult to do. But for somebody that's new to tech, it'd be very difficult to get them to do that and kind of a headache and stuff. So you have to be very careful with service workers, but when they're set up properly and they're used right, they're super awesome, and they can just make your website that much more responsive and, make people enjoy the website even more. Because at the end of the day, you want to just ship a good product and have a product that people enjoy. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about, the service workers and the manifest file. And yeah, I guess kind of future things I'm thinking of doing with this application. I want to make a way that you can actually use the application when you're on your phone and export a grocery list essentially from the app. So I'm going to kind of add this functionality in the future, I guess, and maybe build this out after I graduate. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and hope you have a wonderful night. Bye, everybody.